Distinguished members of Congress, honored guests, and fellow citizens. It is a distinct honor and privilege to stand before you all today. United States Congress assembled as President of the United States. Tonight, I don't want to come to you all with applause lines or party slogans. I'm here to deliver a message as the President of a country that has endured, adapted, and risen. When I took office, we faced a world of questioning our strength, a Congress that was divided, and a people rightfully skeptical of politics as usual. They told us not to aim too high, to settle for gridlock, for division, and for decline. We did not. In alternative, we've settled for a better resolution in some aspects. Now, in the negative, we have also settled for division among our elected officials, and their beliefs being undermined for a shot at power. To those congressmen, I see you. The American people see you, but they won't see you as Vice President of the United States. Not today, not tomorrow, and not ever. So let's talk about what we've really been doing. We rebuilt our military. With the joint efforts of the new chairman of the Joint Chiefs Staff and the Secretary of Defense, we have rebuilt our military, not as a show of might, but as a promise kept. A promise to every American service member that this nation will never again send you into harm's way with outdated tools or ambiguous missions. We restored readiness. We revived morale. And we reminded our adversaries, peace is best kept by those who are prepared for war. But strength abroad begins with credibility at home. That's why we ended gamesmanship. We crossed the aisle not in surrender, but in service. We passed legislation that rebuilt our infrastructure, reformed veterans' cares, and reined in inflation and brought back dignity to our governance. And yes, we did something no Republican president in generations has done. We rejoined the global conversation. We didn't just return to the United Nations, we led. Not to hand away sovereignty, but to shape consensus. Not to shrink from the world, but to remind it who we are, because isolation does not secure liberty. Engagement with principles does. Now, some called that betrayal. Some called it bold, but I call it American. We do not lead by withdrawing, we lead by showing up. And let me say this clearly. The world is better when America leads, and America leads best when we know who we are. We are a nation that landed on the moon and lifted the Iron Curtain. We are the people who built cities from scratch and ideas into industries, and we are still that people today. The state of our union is not just strong, it is unshakable, because strength is not found in one man, one party, or one moment. It is found in every parent who works 2 jobs and still makes it to the PTA meeting, in every young service member standing guard on foreign soil, in every teacher, every trucker, every nurse, and every neighbor.
Mr. President, you are a liar! You are a cheater! You are not a
The House will be in
president!
order. The House will be in order. Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to seize any further disruptions.
You know, let me set this speech aside for a little bit. It's a shame. I asked a lot of people to wear white in recognition of unity. But let that show you an example of what demon rats do when you let them in and poison the whole water supply. I've tried to sit up here and be kind. I've tried to sit up here and be nice, but let's talk about technicalities. What piece of legislation have I signed that has had your name on it, Representative? What piece of legislation have I signed that has a Democrat's name on it other than Keen Takano?
You're a liar, Mr. President!
I'm not a
liar.
Members are engaging in
You're a
willful and
damn liar,
continuous
Mr.
breach of
President.
decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant at Arms to restore order.
He's a liar!
Get this thug out of here.
You know, it's people like that. People similar to Benjamin Diaz Snow. And that's why our nation is only stronger together with the right people in charge. It's truly sad. Now, I know that people are going to clip my speech, they're going to quote it, and they're going to criticize it. Especially the people.
Mr. President, you are a liar!
Finding that members.
A liar!
The gentleman will suspend. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant at Arms to restore order.
I just wish a gentleman can state something that's been lied about. You know, the military is strong again. Legislation's been signed, and if I'm not mistaken, we are the nation that landed on the moon and lifted the Iron Curtain. So what is there to lie about? There is divide in our elected officials, the same elected officials that DM me daily asking to receive the nomination for Vice President of the United States. So when will you not learn that you, like the many others who DM me about it, aren't eligible? You aren't qualified. You aren't morally correct, as Jim Roberts once said. You know who didn't DM me? Keen Takano, the only Democrat I've met that has ever had the common sense and balls to serve the American people. But you, sir, you are the furthest thing short from a patriot. You are a coward. You hide behind Grindr. You hide behind the Iron Curtain. And even more, you hide behind funds and constant and consistent importation of funds who could come from anyone, probably Iran. So when you go home and look in the mirror, Representative, ask your constituents how many of them are standing up and cheering when I enter a room and how many want you to resign. But no need. The general election, or midterms, I should say, is coming up. We won't see much of you for much longer. So I'll go ahead and finish what I'm saying. But tonight, I want to make it clear that I am not interested in the news headlines. I'm interested in history. So let history record this. We governed, we compromised, and we led. And those who are watching across the country tonight, to the crazies, to the hopefuls, to the exhausted, I hear you, and we will not go back. We will not stall. We will not surrender the promise of this country to the bitterness of our politics. And that was an example of the bitterness I am talking about. Because America doesn't just endure change. America is changing. And tonight, we do not simply mark the state of our union, we define it. To those who have asked me to resign, I made up my mind a long time ago. I will be submitting my resignation as President of the United States at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on October, when the President-elect of the United States is sworn into office, just as all of those before me. Because the work has not only just started, but together we will prevail. So thank you to every American who is listening tonight, every American who didn't have to stand up and call someone a liar and lie through their teeth, because we're working in the interest of the American people. So God bless you, and may God forever bless the United States of America.
Declares the joint session dissolved. Everybody may now, the chamber representatives are asked to please stay back. For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida rise? Is there a sufficient second? Okay. Hearing a sufficient second, the question is on the motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes do have it, and the House stands adjourned until the next legislative day.